Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast that explores Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois.
And I'm Jimmy Fowler, elder candidate at Redeemer Fellowship.
Hey.
Hey.
What you doing?
No, we can't do that.
Why not?
Banter.
Is that it counts as banter
yeah,
too?
Yeah, it counts as banter.
Here's what I have to say about that.
No. We got to move on to our subject.
No, listen.
So today we're going to be talking.
Let me tell you this right now. There's a handful of people that say they're giving up the podcast or they don't like it or they hate it because of all the banter. Okay, so I'm just going to be really straight with you. I'm going to talk to you and these are mostly men. All the ones that I'm thinking of are men. So let me just say this. It's not your podcast. And it's our podcast. So we're actually going to do the kind of stuff that we want to do. This is why we're doing this podcast. We wanted a podcast to be a certain way, and we didn't find one out there, so we're doing this.
Who gave us this?
That came from two of our newest members at the church. Jimmy is holding up a bottle of bourbon. One of the members of the church gave us a bottle of bourbon.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's on the front end when you first have that first sip.
It's a little harsh.
But it's really kind of, not like
sweet.
syrupy, but it's
sweet,
like a honey and then vanilla on the end. And I just went for a second sip. Yeah, it's not as harsh.
I was in the middle of my thing, and you started talking about that.
J. Henry and Sons.
I was talking.
Wisconsin straight bourbon whiskey, aged 5 years. That's
okay.
Good.
All right.
All right, we got to write them a card.
All right. Nobody cares now what I was saying.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want no banter. I told you no banter. People don't want to have banter.
All right.
You know?
Banter is a part of what we do. It's what we do wherever we're at.
I know, but that's us hanging out. You and I hanging out is not the same as well, I thought it was, but now we got haters. Haters gonna hate. You know what? That's what it is. Haters gonna hate.
Okay, so that we don't
be jealous of the Jofo.
That's right. That's why we're gonna keep doing.
How was your week?
My week was awesome.
Oh man, please tell me all about it. I want to hear every detail.
I would, but I got stuff to do, so we got to do this quicker. Hey,
okay. Well, thanks for asking. My week was good.
I
Thanks.
don't care.
I appreciate it.
You were talking about hanging out,
yep.
And I was thinking we should talk about hanging out as not just as something that people do. I know some people hang out, but actually as something that can be a fruitful work or ministry.
That's good.
It is something that I think more pastors should be doing, is hanging out in the world with other people in order to build relationships, preach the gospel, and serve others.
So yeah, you're not saying neglect the flock, right?
No.
Like you're not saying don't do pastoral visitation.
No.
But you are saying though, it can't, there needs to be time to be hanging out or reaching out or however you want. Would you say that reaching out? I guess it's a form of reaching out, but it's not as systematized, I would think.
No, it's not. It's different. Listen,
it should actually be something like genuine care. It should be like hanging out with your neighbor. I'm not trying to interrupt you. I apologize. Go.
A lot of pastors. Okay, I thought you were going to get me.
No, I wasn't going to get you. I was serious.
So a lot of pastors.
It should just be genuine. I knew you were going to get me on the third one.
A lot of pastors are known for being holed up in their office, and they don't have non-Christian friends.
Well, yeah, Joe's not one of those guys that's holed up in his office.
No. In fact, I come in my office to grab a couple of books, or to record a podcast.
That's about it.
Sometimes I have meetings in here too.
Yep.
But a lot of pastors kind of hold up in their office, and they like that because maybe they're introverts like I am. They prefer to be alone, and they can study. They love to study like I do. Sermon prep is fun. And the only interactions that they have are with people in the church.
Yeah.
But hanging out, finding time, making time, not find it doesn't exist, making time in your schedule to be present.
Yeah.
With other people that are Christians and people that are non-Christians, where you are accessible, where you are engaged and engaging. That becomes, in our estimation, a really important aspect of fruitful gospel and church ministry.
Absolutely. I mean, and when I hear, even as we're discussing this, and I worked with previous churches, it was almost like it wasn't really common for the pastoral staff to be hanging out or just relaxing. Everything kind of had to be not systematized, but it was like there had to be an agenda right? Or a purpose behind it. So it's like, well, hold on. If we're going to meet, then what issue are we discussing?
Right. Or what measurable impact is this having?
Exactly.
Can you quantify the value of what you're doing?
Exactly. And so for someone like me that is a bit more
Works oriented.
I had to kind of, but it was a shift for me because, like I mentioned it before, like I worked with Young Life of Canada for a number of years. And one of the things that we had to do, and it was systematized, was that sense of contact work. And there is actually where I learned about hanging out, where, I would set aside time, I'd make time a few times a week where I would just be hanging out with people, teens and adults, to try to build relationships. And so, yeah, I think it's something that's not really common, I think, in the church today, because we're so focused on our people.
It's like there's this temptation and there is this call by a lot of gurus to treat church like a business and to treat ministry like a business, so that it's hard to find value in something where you don't have a measurable impact that you can quantify in some way. So what we believe is...
Here, before we get to that part, though, and I think you're right, but it's not only about the people not having it quantified, but I think there's also some ministers out there that just don't want it.
Well, sure.
But I think that's different, though. I think looking at saying, what's the best use of my time? And that's what I hear when I quantify, is someone actually seeking out what's the best way to glorify God in what I'm doing. I can actually understand that heart. But for someone that doesn't even want to be with other people, then I would say, what is your calling then?
Right.
Have you mistaken your calling? Because that's to me is two different things. We know of an individual, a well-known pastor, that bragged about having this separate hallway from their office to the stage so that they wouldn't have to talk to anybody. That to me shows of a heart that doesn't really love people or desire to minister to God's people.
And when we're talking about like the reasons why people don't want to hang out, we're going to get to hanging out here more specifically, but there's a lot of different reasons, right? Some people are very focused on, quantifiable results.
Yep.
Other people don't think it's worth their time.
Yep.
Other people are lazy. They just simply do not want to put the effort into that. Some people are shy. Some people are scared.
Yeah.
Some people don't think you're allowed. I'm not allowed to hang out. I'm on a clock. I got a board.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to pay me to sit here and
I'm
talk?
going to go and by the way, yes, pastors should be a part of their support, a part of their salary goes towards them building relationships with people, and therefore hanging out in measure has to be a part of that. Now, we're talking about hanging out, Jimmy. What do you think of? I mean, if you were going to counsel somebody, going into ministry, and you would say, like, hey, listen, you went to seminary, you know about study, you know about exegesis, you know about church history, you know about schedule and counseling. What you don't probably know about is the value of hanging out. Mm-hmm. What are some things that you would want to tell them about? What is hanging out?
Well, I think first is I would be saying kind of make it a weekly part of your schedule where you are regularly at a certain location and get to know those individuals. So I would think, and I'm thinking more like when you hear that, I guess I'm thinking of like a cigar shop or a coffee shop or something like that. But I think meeting with people in a relaxed atmosphere without an agenda. Yep. And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to get to in that, is it's not about getting together and I don't want to diminish this because this is all good. But if your mentality is, I want to get together so I can see where they're at spiritually, so I can assess it and then help counsel them, that's not the setting. That's not what we're talking about. As important as that is, that's your radar. It's always up. It's always on. So, but this is supposed to be, when can you just relax
with other people?
Because I think it's important. Like, there's a few people that I know I can relax with, and I enjoy hanging out with them. And I mean, obviously everyone knows that Pat and I love getting together. Yeah,
And me.
and
Okay,
Joe.
whatever.
So, like, well, no, you and I, and well, Pat and I, like, even this last Friday, got together and watched the Cubs game, and we did text Joe. It's like, hey, Joe, if you want to stop by, it's cool, but you don't feel
I stopped by.
obligated. For like 2 minutes.
Yeah, baseball. I'm watching baseball.
It's all right. Well, Pat and I had a great time without
Yeah,
you.
it looked like it
We did.
without me.
It was awesome. We hung out.
We were hanging out at the cigar shop.
And that's just it, though. That's like, you need that time. It's not only hanging out is not only about what you can give to others, but it's also what you're receiving from others. And if you're always thinking that you have to give, at some point your tank is going to be empty. You need to learn to receive.
So let's talk about this a little bit, right? So when we're talking about hanging out, you said, and I agree, that it is essentially an agendaless time where you are with other people in a specific context. Now, we always have an agenda, right? To glorify God and to enjoy Him forever.
Yeah.
And we're always witnesses of Christ. So we're not saying that
We're
those
not
things
saying
are
that
not
if something comes up,
but
you need to deal with it.
But as it relates to that specific gathering, it is just to be there without an agenda, present with other people, and this could be anything from a popular bowling alley to a pub to
someone's backyard,
coffee shop. If people regularly hang out there, then it can be that. It could be a lot of different things. So we're not saying it has to be any one thing, but to be regularly somewhere where you are there without a specific outline and agenda to accomplish tasks other than to be present and to be useful to God as His providence dictates, right?
Absolutely.
So now the reasons for this, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
What are the reasons that we hang out?
Well, one, I would say to relax. Right? Like I would say one is to just be able to settle down and to, like ministry is kind of a go type thing. It's a rare time, I think anyways, where you actually start something and complete something. I mean, really the sermon prep is it, but it's going to start again every week anyways. You're always you're always on, you're always going. It's tasks are always piling up. And you're moving on to the next individual or situation that's going on in the church. So I think for me, being able to cut off and just relax.
So hanging out is good for the individual hanging out, right? It's good personally to rest. I mean, and hopefully you believe in rest and margin. Pastors burn out, people burn out, moms burn out because they don't know how, or they haven't allowed themselves, or they haven't been allowed to find margin to chill, right? To get together with some girls or to get together and just do something else. So there's personal benefit to hanging out. Why else do we hang out? Because when I think about hanging out, I think, okay, I hang out. Now listen, I'm an introvert.
Yeah, Joe is.
So really relaxing for me is to be by myself.
That's not true.
Oh, yes, it is.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
Okay, you say you're by yourself, but you're texting me the whole time.
Yeah, but I'm by myself.
No, it's not the same.
I
You're
am
still
by
emotionally
myself.
connected to me.
Emotionally, but not physically.
Oh, but the emotional is a lot more.
All right, so here's the thing.
Come on, I'm just saying it's powerful.
Okay, what I'm saying is when I hang out, I do it because I believe it is useful.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's going to be good for me to be around people. That even though I'm not naturally wired to do that, to be that way, I know it's good for me. I also know it's good for other people because in that context, relationships are built.
Yeah.
Friendships are built. I wind up, and all of us have wound up counseling people in those non-Christian environments, sharing the gospel with numerous people, innumerable people, talking them off the ledge of suicide, helping them through death and loss, doing their funerals. And so what it does is there, like, so why do we do it? We do it because it's one of those environments. It's one of those contexts in which more Christians need to be more active. It's the agendaless context. It's this It's this realm of life that a lot of people are afraid to go to because, well, if I'm not preaching the gospel, then I can't glorify God. You can glorify God by enjoying your coffee and being a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And glorify God by doing that. So go and be present somewhere. And then in God's providence, the opportunities afford themselves. They're just right there. And if you've been present and engaged, and if you've been a good neighbor, then you're going to be able, they're going to ask you to step in and to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, I've been convicted of that actually lately because I like to hang out with a few people. I already said that. So
Pat mostly.
So like when I'm at my house, that's like my fortress of solitude. You know, I don't want
stay away.
And I got great neighbors. My neighbors are fantastic. The one guy to my left never comes and talks to me, never makes any noise, has a terrible lawn. Mine looks so great next to his.
And yours doesn't look that great.
No, but I love him comparatively.
Yeah.
The other neighbors to my right, they don't like to talk either. They like to do their own thing. It's fantastic. Now, my neighbors behind me, they're still great, but now they want to talk. And so I've got these neighbors because of all our kids. They all want to hang out. And our house has become the hangout spot for all the kids, which now draws all the parents.
Right.
Michelle loves it. Loves it. She's always talking with them. She's always meeting with the ladies. They're always hanging out. They're having wine night. Not crying. I'm talking about wine.
W-H...
No. W-I-N-E.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, like they're hanging out and she's sharing with them and they always want me to come over and I'll come and I'll bring cigars and I'll bring bourbon. They're drinking my bourbon. And so I always feel convicted afterwards because people want to have a conversation about Christ or what is it that we believe and stuff like that. But I'm always so hesitant because I don't even really want to be there to begin with because I just want to relax at my house. Or, like I said, Michelle, now I'm so, I'm going to boast about her. You know, I'm praying for Michelle as she's getting texts from all these other ladies from our neighborhood that are saying, I need some help right now. I don't know what's going on. I'm kind of struggling with this. You know, Michelle, can you come over and all these ladies are on this conversation. Can you come over and talk about this? And I know that you believe in God. I just want to talk a bit more about this. And so for someone like Michelle, hanging out has become now, because she's real, because she's loving, because she's caring, they now want to discuss these other things.
Yeah. That's what it does. You know, it's like it doesn't take a lot of effort. Now, it takes more effort if you're an introvert, but it doesn't take a lot of effort to go somewhere and to be present and to be a friend.
Yeah.
You know, so it can be a book club. It can be the gym, for crying out loud. It doesn't really matter, but where you're present and regular, you become known. And in the context of being known, you then have relationships, then you then have influence. And you happen to be, more than likely, one of the only people, if not the only person, that has the truth of God that leads to salvation.
Yeah.
So what the heck are we doing? We're not hanging out. We're missing that opportunity. We ought to be hanging out. We ought to be present so that people. I just met with a dude, not a Christian guy. I just met with this guy. He wanted to meet down. He wanted to meet with me privately to talk about some stuff. And that's because I am present. It's because I'm there. And all of this, yes, it is. It leads us. It gives us opportunities to point to Jesus Christ. Hanging out is one of those things that, if more Christians did it, I believe our reputation might be better.
I think so.
I think if we were to do this more often, we might be more adept at talking to people with whom we disagree with. Right? I mean, I guess
I think it grounds us, right? Because I think oftentimes everything is about, especially if there's always an agenda, right? Like one, we already talked about the agenda. I'm going to talk about grounding us. If we're only talking with those that we agree with, then we have no idea of what's going on with those around us. Then how can you actually preach the word properly? And you know what I mean? Like, how could you preach the word in such a way that is not only speaking to those who do believe, but speaking to those who don't believe? How are you actually able to share the gospel and to understand what the life situation is like of those around you if you're not even hanging out with your neighbors? And that was actually a big conviction for me, is how can I expect to preach the gospel and to share the gospel if I don't even care about my neighbor?
Right. And it's like if all we know are the people at our church, that will help us to speak to them.
Yeah.
But if we're going to reach more people, if we're going to understand the temperament, the temperature of the city that we're a part of, then we need to be out there talking to those people, people that we disagree with, people that may not like all of the things that we believe. So, anywho, All that to say, you and I believe that hanging out is a valuable ministry. We don't want to encourage laziness. We don't want to encourage people to disconnect from responsibilities.
Yeah.
But one of your responsibilities is to be a witness where you are. And so we encourage people, as much as God allows you, to be present and to find opportunities to hang out. We hang out at the cigar shop because A, we happen to like cigars, and B, cigar shops are a great place to meet people where people want to talk. Dudes want to talk, and they'll talk about anything from politics to religion to art to whatever, family. And there, because there are regulars and a membership in a sense, you become friends. But it can be anywhere. It can be any kind of environment. It doesn't have to be any one thing. But it requires intentionality and consistency.
Absolutely. Now let's now switch gears here for a moment. As a pastor, let's talk about this. I do think congregations almost have this sense of like, I have every right to meet with my pastor every day whenever I need to. They should be able to be my best friend. What do you say to that? And I'm not saying we've faced this or anything like that.
It's not an issue at Redeemer.
It's not an issue, but I know
but
that
it is very common.
It is very common for individuals to believe that they should have the ear or the attention or the time of the pastor every single day.
Sure. And when you're a smaller church, there's a lot of that, right? Because the preaching pastor can be very present and can have a lot of meetings with a lot of people. But the larger your church gets, the less accessible the preaching pastor becomes. Now, we believe that every elder ought to be accessible to the congregation. And so I give out my phone number. We give out to anybody. Any of our people here, they have access to us. And the longest you really have to wait to meet with us, if it's not an emergency, is about a week at most. We're generally able to meet with you pretty quickly. But no, I can't set up a standing weekly meeting with most people unless there's a crisis of some sort. But yeah, on the one hand, pastors are very busy with the multiplicity of tasks and responsibilities they have. They don't just work on Sunday. I know that's the joke that we like to say. But they're busy all week, and so they only have room for so many sessions with people or meetings with people. And I'll even have people say, "Hey, can we just hang out?" And it's like, well, you can join me in hanging out on this 2-hour block where I am hanging out, but where everybody has access because I'm just there. But I can't necessarily squirrel away an hour every time you want to hang out, because that's just not realistic. I've got other things that I've got to do. So in general, what I would say to guys is be really honest and upfront with people in terms of what your schedule is. Guard it well so that you're not over taxing yourself with things that are not related to your primary mission and objective. But I would also say that part of what we ought to do, first of all, I think every pastor ought to be accessible to his people. If somebody wants to meet with me from the church, we're going to make that happen. Secondly, you can't be best friends with everybody in terms of hanging out all the time. It's just you don't have, goodness. I can't go to every birthday at the church. It's just impossible. So you have to be careful with that. But I think here most people understand that it's not an issue. Nobody has really expected to be, in the pastor's office all the time, unless there is a real need. And even then, they understand that our pastors here are busy, and as there is opportunity, then we can schedule it. We make sure that it's happening. But when it's an emergency, that's front burner, really good stuff. We make sure that those people are getting taken care of. And so
I know we talked about this on friendship, though. So we don't have to get into this much, but why don't you just speak a little bit on the importance of, especially those in leadership and pastors, to have valuable friendships. Like you are, you're the Jonathan to my David.
I'm David.
No, I'm David.
I'm definitely David.
I am David. No.
David was short.
I'm short too.
You're not as short as me.
You are Jonathan.
Right.
You are Jonathan because you die in the end. You'll die before me.
I think I'm more like David.
You are going to die before me. So talk about that, just the importance of that, and just how, even in the midst of this hanging out, while everyone's still friends and everything, there's still that sense of...
Right. Right. I think part of it is when you have a David-Jonathan relationship, Jonathan usually never recognizes that he's Jonathan. In this case, it's Jimmy.
Well, go ahead, Jonathan. Please continue.
But
Permission granted.
I've just granted you permission to be quiet.
Yeah, permission granted.
So, yeah, I mean, I happen to be very close to the elders and the staff. Those are the people with whom I spend most of my time. And obviously, you guys know I'm very close to Jimmy. And so now I'm friends with all these other people in the church, but you can only spend so much time with so many people.
Without it impacting your work, your church work schedule or your family schedule.
Right. I've got 50 hours that I can give towards the church roughly.
Yep.
And then I've got all these other hours that are towards my family.
And you got how many kids? You got parents, you got grandma, you've got everything.
So whatever it
and
is.
Jen.
So
and she needy.
So no, Jen's not. Jen's low maintenance. I'm high maintenance. So I would just say that invest in those men or women. If you're a woman, invest in women. Men, if you're a man, invest in men who are going to encourage you to become a more godly person. Invest in those people that understand you, that can help coach you, that you can encourage. You need to make sure that you have some people in your life who can ground you, who can call you out when you are wrong, and those to whom you will listen. I really think that part of the reason some of these pastors wind up in really bad situations, in immoral situations, is because and I think in part of it is they do not have the relationships necessary to help keep them in line. Now, again, you can lie, and if you're lying and pretending, then you don't have the relationship.
Yeah.
But Pat and Jimmy know if something's up with me. They can tell. Like they can sense it. Brian,
I can sense through a text.
Yeah, Brian, like, whoa, like Jimmy could sense through a text the other day, like Joe ain't playing. Joe's in a bad mood.
And I can tell just by your text.
He could read my mood through my text. So. Yeah, well, I was trying to send an email to our secretary.
No, don't go into it. Don't go into it.
Trying to send an email. I'm not going to say anything.
Don't say it.
Okay, so I sent an email to my secretary on my day off, but I was busy. I was doing stuff, and so I was trying to just dictate it into the phone. So I mentioned a guy, and his last name is Keenis.
Stop.
And iPhone didn't know what to do with the word Keenis, so it did something else with it. And I sent it to my secretary.
It spelled it right.
It was not an incorrect spelling of a word, but it was not Keenis. So, yeah. So Jimmy was having fun. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
And so, yeah, Joe. I knew Joe wasn't playing.
I was like, I'm out. I'm busy.
I took a screenshot though. I'll save that for a rainy day.
Oh, goodness sakes. All right. So bottom line is, we need friendship, but we need to hang out. We need to be available. We need to be present.
Yes.
And to be honest, sometimes, we're at the cigar shop, we're not available. My earbuds are in, we're working hard, we're not talking, we're not doing anything. But then other times we're there, earbuds are out, and if something comes up, we're more than willing.
That's
and then
it.
in God's providence, interruptions happen and all of that. But in general, we need more of our Christian brothers and sisters to be out there with non-believers in the world, being good neighbors, being good friends, because that's the context in which the gospel oftentimes shines most brightly.
I mean, let us know, jump on social media. Let us know what are the places you like to hang out, and with, how do you like to hang out with those around you? So you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Doc and Devo, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head on over to our website, doctrinedevotion.com, and there you can click on the Contact Us page, the email sign up, or click on the store and grab some great merchandise. We got Fresh Pod every Monday and Thursday. Why are you laughing?
Because we have a church member sending us texts.
Oh, is that the big? No, don't.
No, I won't say who it is.
All right.
But a church member sending us texts about how he got in an argument with the manager.
With Tom McCaskey.
Of
the Bears. Of the Chicago Bears.
He's like in a fight with Tom McCaskey of the Bears. It's the funniest thing ever.
And I mean, I'm not going to say who this person is. They're just a Patriots fan.
They are a Patriot, and they are a Patriots fan.
Yeah, they are a Patriots fan. Die-hard Patriots fan. So
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to agree with one of the other members, or he's not a member, but the other individual from our
Well,
church.
this guy, he's a member.
No, he's not. Not that one. This one is. The other one's not, that said this is Patriot propaganda.
Oh, yeah, no, that guy's not a member. But I mean, I can't say his name.
No, you can't.
It rhymes with Labanow. Yeah. that guy's a member.
So,
Okay.
anyways, where was I at? Fresh Pod every Monday and Thursday. blog post on Wednesday, Friday content soon in the fall. Dr. Devotion 2018 conference.
And 2017 in New Zealand. What's up?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, we'll promote that later.
All right.
Are people really going to fly out to New Zealand for us?
If they're real fans.
They're not going to fly
If they're
out.
real fans, they're posers, they ain't coming.
Well, then 99.9%.
I think 100% are going to come. Super optimistic.
Yeah.
That's the difference between you and me, Jonathan.
What's that day?
Later. Later.
Later.